Well, good morning my YouTube friends, it's Margaret here from M.E.s Orchids, and I just thought I'd bring you back today. This is especially for the newcomers to orchids, regarding what and how I fertilise my orchids. Now I make up my own solutions, but I do have some proprietary NPK. So this is one that I use all the time, and I have this with every feed. And that's calcium nitrate. Okay. I use this also. That's the seaweed extract. During the summer, I will also use that. This is quite strong, so I don't put a lot in, but you can put it in. I did get that this year, but apparently this has got urea in, this nitrogen, and apparently it's not supposed to be good for orchids, but I'm just on the sidelines with that, and maybe next year I might just try this, but I wouldn't try this with the calcium because one counteracts the other. Like I say, I'm on the sidelines with that one, and these are the two that I'm using. Well, I don't use this now, but I was using that, and you'll see the numbers there, because this is a spring-summer one, and so now I'm using this one, and this is the winter one, autumn-winter, and you'll see the numbers there. And this is the little bottle that I always get free with orchids from Curly and Orchidine, and you'll see the numbers down there, which are very faint, but hopefully you can see them. And so it took me a long time to understand, and with the help of Rick L, I have this chart here, and this is regarding the NPK, sorry, the pH scale, and so we're looking at a sweet spot there of around about 5.8, but I did find this chart very useful to start with. So as you get more experience, I used to write it all down, I used to put it all down here, but as you get more experienced, you don't really have to write it down. And so what I usually do, I only ever use rainwater. I've got a big water butt outside, but I can use tap water. Now this little container here, this has just got tap water in, so I'm going to show you the TDS with just tap water. Alright, can you see me here? I'm hoping you can see. Now let's see if you can. So that's 88. So see, we've got the 3, it's normally 0, 0, 0, and this one's 88. Excuse the background noise. That's one of Keith's alerts going up. Now this is the water, the rainwater. And you see the difference there. That's only 36, but even at 88 it's not bad, but at 36 I've got a lot of scope here, and all I do is fill this container, and so I just eyeball. I don't have a specific amount. I can do less or I can do more. and because this has come from outside this water, I always warm some of it, and sometimes that does affect the TDS. So let's just have a look at that one now. You see, that's gone up from 38 to 47, which is not a lot. So if you like, we've got a starting point of 47. That's always what your TDS is at the starting point. Now, I'm only feeding at the moment up to about 150 parts per million. Sorry about that. And the reason for that is we're going into our cooler weather here in England. I mean, if it was summer, I could go up to as high as 250 parts per million. So we've got 47. So for argument's sake, we'll just round that down. We'll round the 150 down to 100. I've taken the 47 off there. So I've really only got 100 parts per million to play with. And this is quite strong. Okay. And you get a little spoon, it comes with a little spoon. See? And I'll only put that much in. Now let's put that in and see what that brings it up to. We just have to wait a second because this has to dissolve. Now let's stir this. Right, I've dissolved that calcium now, and I'm just going to just check the TDS. See, we start at 000. Right, so we've got a TDS there of 156. Okay, so that gives me now approximately the 100 ppm, because I was looking at a ppm of 15 parts per million, 150 parts per million, and so I take off that, the 47, so I rounded that down, so that left me with 100. So actually I've gone slightly over. Sorry about that. Now that doesn't give me any leeway to add anything else, but for the sake of this video, what I'll do is I'll just add some of this NPK. Alright. Now I can't add too much because this is quite concentrated, and I don't use pH up or pH down. It is what it is. So let me just say put a quarter of a cap in, just that much, you see, and just see. What I find, it's always best just to add a little. There we go, let's just have a look. So we were on 156. And that's not bad. That now is 178. Just that little bit of NPK, that's all that you needed. And now I'm not going to put anything else in. I mean, because I don't want it any higher, simply because I'm reducing my feed now. Now I'm going to have to get another little container here. Bear with me. I'm just under the sink here. Where is it? Here we go. And what I'll do, it takes a little while for the pH, because my pH meter is very good, but what happens is that it takes a while for it to settle down. So if I switch it on and then put it in, and I'll come back in a few minutes. It's still reducing down, it's down to 717 now, 716, and if I pause this video too long it will actually cut off. So what I'm going to do is just keep putting you on hold, because I want this to go down into the 60s, and I don't know why this pH meter takes such a long time, but that's just how it is. So if we look at this chart again, I mean at the moment it's still going down, it's 6.83 and it's going down all the time, and I mean this is an acceptable area, 6.1 right the way down, and that's what we call the sweet spot. But if you look there, anything within that neutral area there is actually fine. And when you're used to doing your feeding, you get to know. It's one of these, and that's why it took me such a long time to understand it. But eventually you do get to know, especially with your TDS. Once you've done your TDS, that gives you an idea of really what your pH is going to be. You see, now we're down to 6.76, and that's actually static now at 6.76. Oh no, it's still going down. So mine's going to come out at 6.75. It's flashing between 7.4 and 7.5. Okay, just gone up now because I've taken it out. Now, because I've been growing orchids a while now, that's fine. I've no problem. See, if I put that back in, it's gone off now. If I there we go. You see, we're already down to 6.5. It's slightly going up again now, and this is the annoying part of a pH meter, I find, that you have to wait for this point. We're on 6.65. That's fine for me. I've no problem. Don't worry, you don't have to go down to the exact. And so that now, that mixture now, for me, is fine. That I know that my orchids are quite capable of taking up this nutrient in here, which is just the calcium, and I use that on every watering. very rarely do I give a flush, because I don't water at such high amounts. Very rarely, maybe once a month or maybe once every 6 weeks, but they do get this. But you have to remember when you make your own up that this is quite strong, so just a few granules, and then you can always add, but you can't take away. So I don't know whether this will have helped anybody really, but when you're a beginner, it's a good idea to get yourself definitely a TDS meter. Definitely. That is not as important. It is important, but as you become more experienced with the fertilising regime, you can usually guess what that is. So thank you for joining me today, and happy orchid growing. Take care. Bye bye now.